Hello, I'm Bob Miller, the programmer for the Outlining Your Novel Workbook program, and I'd like to tell you about another screen that is very important for me in the program. It is the scene checklist. It can be found as the last section under the outline chapter, and it comes right before we get to the extras chapter. Now, the extras are the things with the mind map, the calendar, the playlist. Uh, they're called extras because you can plan your novel without these pretty much, except for the calendar, which is pretty key. But they don't really affect the story structure and the outline that much. So when we're looking at the scene checklist, it's really one of the last things that you need to go through in order to wrap up and completely polish off your plan. And it's tied in very closely to the scene list. In fact, we've even got a button on the screen that goes right back to the scene list. Now, I don't have one that goes directly from the scene list back to the scene checklist, but you can get back to your previous screen just by clicking on the back button. Now, as I understand it, the scene checklist is a way to evaluate some key scenes and to ask yourself some questions that are very important. You probably are not going to be asking these questions for every scene in the novel. For me, I just like to think about some of the key scenes. And I can view all of the scenes that I currently have saved in the program just by clicking through here. I've got 9 scenes right now saved. These are the same ones that I can see right here on the scene list. There's the 9 scenes. But I can click through them in order here, or if I just want to see a random access and just select any of them, I can choose one. Now, there are 10 questions that you should ask about every key scene in the book. There's a few here, and then the rest of them are over on this screen. And K.M. Weiland did a good job of planning these out because I see a progression or a grouping. I see these questions here, besides just looking at the logic of the scene about how does this fit into the structure, I see these questions here about you asking yourself, how important is the scene to you? How vital is it? If I deleted it, the story wouldn't work, or it includes a few. This is a way for you to value the scene. And this question here, how excited are you about writing this scene? This is a great way to just take a gut level check and see if you're very excited about the scene. And if you're not, maybe there's a reason that you're not. And why does this scene matter to you? This is as you as an author writing about the scene. But now when we go over to these other questions over here, these are more focused on how the scene will apply to the reader. Why will it matter to the reader? Does it give the reader some new information? Does it repeat anything? And I really love these 3 questions here. You can evaluate how high are the stakes in the scene. Now, of course, every scene doesn't need to have high stakes, but if you're looking at some key scenes, if they are key scenes, they probably have got very high stakes. Um, and if they're not, the stakes are not high, this is a way for you to ask yourself, well, why not? How could I make them higher? How high is the conflict? Is there a great amount of conflict in the scene or not? And if it's going to be a key important scene, it probably will have a pretty high degree of conflict. I like this question also. Have you included the character's reaction to each scene's main event? This is something that I can sometimes forget. I can just write a scene and just expect that the readers may understand, oh, this person feels very bad about what happened to the scene. Obviously the character is going to be sad or happy about the scene, but if I haven't really explained or demonstrated the character's reaction, then maybe I need to rewrite part of that. So this question here gets to that. So I see this scene checklist as working very closely with the scene list. Once I've got them, I can ask myself some key questions to evaluate, does the scene flow logically? Does it fit into the logic? And also emotionally, how do I feel about it? And are the emotions and the conflict strong in the scene? So that's why I like the scene checklist screen.